With eGold recently setting a new all-time highs, what is next for ELROND? Guys, today we're going to be diving into the technical analysis here for ELROND and talking specifically about the price action of eGold. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, then do hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will not miss another update. Right, with that said, done and out of the way, let's dive into this technical analysis here for ELROND. And we're going to start things, guys, with the weekly chart, actually. We're going to just dive down into this, and we'll talk about what's going on here with the bigger picture before we get into any of those smaller time frames. So, obviously, things really heated up nicely towards the end of 2020, really kind of bottomed out in October of 2020. Then we started to see a good run up to the upside, right? Kind of peaking out up here. I think it was about $243 around that kind of area there. And ultimately, that was about 4,000% in gains, right? So a pretty lucrative push to the upside. Smaller than some of the other altcoins, but still pretty significant. No bank is going to offer you that kind of lucrative return on investment. Then we saw a bit of a correction. And again, this took a lot of people by surprise. Ultimately, putting us down to these lower areas on the charts. And, there were some fantastic opportunities to basically buy ELROND at those lower prices again, low as $53, right? So pretty cool. And then we started to see another push to the upside as we started to see the correction setting a new all-time high recently. We can see that we were overbought during our journey initially, and then down to the oversold area during our correction. We are back up in the overbought section right now, and this is an area that we can be up here for a couple of months or so. So it doesn't bother me on these larger time frames to see us overbought. It matters more on the smaller time frames where we start to see a lot more volatility between those areas. But up here for probably the next couple of months or so is perfectly fine and something I can see happening. We're about 226% from our final target here for ELROND. So again, pretty lucrative returns still on the table here for ELROND. So again, fantastic stuff, right? There's nothing really too much major I can report. The structure is looking good, and everything is kind of going according to plan here for our weekly. So let's jump down into our daily, and this is where we start to see a little bit more of the detail over what has been going on. I'll just expand this up a little bit so we can get a bigger picture. So we can see that the previous high was set up here at 246. So I got that wrong earlier. So 246 is our target here. That was a previous all-time high. We can then see that there were bouncing going on, right? We had the pullback one. We bounced up to the 786. We pulled back. We bounced up again. Another pullback. Okay, then we bounced up. Now we obviously took out some key areas. We started setting higher lows, okay, on that journey to the upside here. And again, we are still setting these higher low areas. So again, that was okay. So this is Bitcoin's recent pullback just over here. But we had good traction during this run, right? We were oversold on our daily up to the overbought area, back to oversold during this dip just here. And then we're pushed back up into the overbought area as we are up here. Now, again, we can track this for quite some time, not as long as we can for our weekly charts, but nonetheless, we can still be up here for quite some time. We've had a small pullback, but again, that's kind of in line with kind of the market with Bitcoin doing what it did yesterday. The main thing that we were looking for was to find the previous area of resistance turn support, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. So again, we see good traction happening today. With this chart. Now, overall on this daily chart, we've got some interesting things. So we'll talk about the targets for a moment as well. Okay, so right now we're about 226% away from it, from our target. The first target that we're halfway towards is $365. After that, we have a 2.618 extension coming in at $558. They have the 3.618 extension coming in at $750. And then we have the 4.236 extension coming in at 870. That is where we see the bull run kind of peaking. And obviously, make sure that we lock profits in on the way up on this channel. So my strategies usually are to kind of really focus in on these areas, find some good and interesting sell points on the way up, leaving some in the bag for later. Ultimately, we can sell on the way down, but we want to avoid that if possible as we come to the end of the bull run. Now, in terms of timing, I do think we are likely to see the end of the bull run by December, but again, it could go into the new year briefly, so it could be extended all the way through to March. Okay, but ultimately, there's a few months still left here, so we'll have to see how things play out. And obviously, as the technicals heat up, we'll get a better picture as to how long things are looking to run for, or whether or not we are going to see a significant pullback earlier. Okay, so for now, we're just going to be tracking it. We are nowhere near the end of the bull run, but we obviously have it in our mind as we start talking about this fifth wave and heading up to these final kind of targets for ELROND here. Overall, there's no real major issues with this daily. It's actually structurally pretty good, and we are continuing to move up as we have now taken out that 786. We can set these new all-time highs and go after these price targets. Overall, though, it's important that we do couple this with several other things in the space, right? We have obviously the stochastic indicator. We can see the volumes were growing. They've dropped back after the recent pullback, which is fine. And we can obviously use all of our moving averages, be that the 50 moving average or the 200 moving average, and to see exactly what's going on. You could argue that's a golden cross, for example. So yeah, I think it's important that we use all these indicators, but sometimes you need more data and you need help in understanding what that data is. And that is where Evidenceio's dashboard comes in. Ultimately, this dashboard uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to give you the underlying value of a cryptocurrency. This is really helpful, specifically when we're starting to think about how a cryptocurrency is performing. So for ELROND here, we can see it's an A2 rated cryptocurrency. We have the 𝗕𝗓𝗪 ratio. Okay, this basically is indicating liquidity. Are there any problems with liquidity for ELROND and EGLD? No, it's an A2 cryptocurrency here. It's an A2 rating for liquidity. And so basically it's indicating that there are no problems with liquidity. It's actually very, very good. That's the second best it can be. We can also see a fear and greed index specifically to ELROND rather than a generalized one that we usually see, which is for Bitcoin. Here we can actually see it's an A1, right? It's extremely greedy. So under these extremely greedy scenarios, this is where you start seeing FOMO come in, but also where you start seeing experienced traders take profit. So we have to be mindful that at some point up here, we will lower this down, and that will be due to profits being taken, etc. But right now, we should be expecting to see a bit more FOMO in this area, and we should start to see a good run to the upside. So again, an A1 rated from a fear and greed index perspective, loads and loads of greed right now. We can see that the Sharpe ratio is also an A2 rating. So Sharpe ratio is your risk to reward. Ultimately, by holding ELROND or EGLD, is it risky? This is indicating that it is not. So from here, a 50-day average, well above that, and tracking an A2 rating. So overall, nothing to really report from an issue point of view for risk-reward ratio. So that's nice to see. We can also take a look at the moving averages. We can see it's an A2 rating, no problems with the moving averages. And we can look at the profitability. Of course, it's an A1 profitability, no problems to report there, the best profitability you can have. We can also see the peak end value demands up at B2, so nothing really major to report at all. So the underlying data that the artificial intelligence machine learning is looking at is also not indicating any problems when it comes to ELROND and EGLD, right? So guys, I cannot stress this enough. Really powerful technology here. And there is a link in the description below. Sign up, it's free, and dive into your cryptocurrencies and understand if there is anything of concern with the cryptos that you hold. For ELROND here, there are no problems. So when we take a look at our data on the daily and we know that everything is structurally looking pretty good, let's jump down into our hourly to see if that is going to come to consensus. Here we can see that progress that we've had and pushing up to those new all-time highs just up here at $295, okay? And now we can see that we are coming down with our stochastic RSI. This is nice to see, but there is a little bit of volume here, but we are needing to drop that volume down nice and low. So the volume has already come down nice and low. We want to keep it that way so that we can stabilize around this area. If we are going to bottom out, I think we're probably going to bottom out about 260, so another $5 or so from where we are right now. That should hopefully be a good area to get a good bounce from and a good progress to the upside. With that being said, we can obviously lower this stochastic down to oversold and then progress it back to the upside. Now, the one thing I can quite clearly see here using a couple of trend lines is this this kind of triangle. All right, so if I grab hold of that and I actually grab hold of one of these, here we can see that there's an upward trend that's pretty strong. And this actually tracks back quite a way. It's all the way over to here, right? So once we broke past our 786 area, we found this is a good support line. We tested it here. We tested it again here, and we are nice and low. So in theory, we hopefully will not drop below our trend. If that trend holds, then actually we'll be looking to basically go up and hopefully get to all-time highs again soon. With this downward trend here is quite weak. It's only got a couple of touch points, nothing too major. And these do intersect around the 15th of September. So if we do get this push to the upside and we just get wedged in, we should hopefully see that break soon and to new all-time highs. Obviously, we are targeting $365 as our first price target, right? So we're on that journey to that one now. So we should be tracking nicely there. But overall, no problems to report when it comes to EGLD and ELROND. Obviously, so a little bit of volatility here. We'll be monitoring that. Ideally, we definitely don't want to be breaking this upward trend. It's quite a strong one, so if we can hold it, that would be good. Overall, all eyes on that to see what happens next here for ELROND. But my expectations are that for the medium term and long term, that we are looking to push up significantly. There might be a little bit of volatility on the shorter time frames, but that doesn't bother me personally because I'm a long-term investor with a long-term mindset. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you have found this video useful and informative. If you have, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.